Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phils have a huge comeback and win on a walk-off last night, and they'll play the Reds again tonight with a spot start from Christopher Sanchez. All of that on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phillies baseball for years over on 97.5 The Fanatic on the radio. Happy to be here with you now as your host of Locked On Phillies, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And what a big win last night by the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, honestly, should not have been as close as it was. The Phillies should have absolutely handled the Cincinnati Reds. But considering what Nick Lodolo did to him last time out, which was a near complete game shutout, well, yeah, it was a pretty darn good win for the Phillies as far as how good wins can be against one of the worst teams in baseball. Let's talk you through exactly what happened last night. If you missed it, but man, I hope you didn't miss it because that was just an all-around fun game for the Philadelphia Phillies. The starting pitching matchup was the aforementioned Nick Lodolo facing off against Ranger Suarez. And Ranger got into a little bit of trouble in the sixth inning of this one. He was cruising through five. Both the Philadelphia Phillies and Cincinnati Reds defense and pitching were cruising through five. Lodolo looked good. Ranger Suarez looked good. And then in the top of the sixth, Suarez had a little bit of control issues. Mike Moustakas broke up a scoreless game in the sixth with an RBI single to right field scoring Jonathan India. And then, another hit gets given up and the bases are loaded. And Ranger Suarez walks in a run facing Aquino. And then Suarez, after getting an out, walks in another run to Jose Barrero, who hit the walk-off in the final game of the series in Cincinnati. Ranger Suarez walking in two runs in an inning is ridiculously rare. It's ridiculous in general because no major league pitcher should ever do that. But Ranger Suarez kind of has some equity with this team because of his performances recently. It was just kind of one of those weird performances where he had an inning where it just seemed like he lost it. And then the Philadelphia Phillies, what do? They go ahead and they bring in a guy for his first major league appearance in a bases loaded spot with 2 outs and 3 runs already scored in the inning. Do you know the name Plasmeyer? Michael Plasmeyer? Well, if you don't, it's because he just made his major league debut last night. Did so in a huge spot in a bases loaded jam against the Reds. And he got a strikeout on his first ever batter, his first career strikeout, to end that inning and keep it at 3-0. Then in the bottom of the sixth, you've heard me say it a bunch of times. I'll say it a bunch more times. What great teams do is in the frame after they give up runs, they focus in and they answer. In the bottom of the sixth, Alec Boehm had an RBI single to right to break up the scoreless game for Nick Lodolo and the Cincinnati Reds. Edmundo Sosa had already doubled earlier in the inning, so great work by him. JT Realmuto then tripled the deep center with Rhys Hoskins and Alec Boehm on the bases, clears the bases to make it 3-3, and with 1 out, Nick Castellanos follows up that huge JT Realmuto triple with a single to left field. Nick Castellanos has a hitting streak going. He's incredible against the Cincinnati Reds, and in Cincinnati, I wish they would play the Reds a billion times a year because Nick Castellanos would win MVP if they did that. Something about the Reds and Cincinnati and that city and that team that makes him hit. But hey, we'll take that. Bottom of the sixth, Nick Castellanos' RBI single makes it 4-3 Phillies. And then in the bottom of the seventh, after a shutdown inning by the Phillies bullpen, Matt Vierling homered to left center, got absolutely all of it. He's been really, really, really cold lately. So to see him go yard is a wonderful thing. And then you get to the top of the eighth. And Aquino, who walked in a run back in the sixth inning, doubles to deep center. He scores Lopez. Solano goes to third. It was kind of a situation where Matt Vierling, he got a glove on the ball with runners on first and second. There were not 2 outs. There was just runners on first and second. And Matt Vierling got a glove on the ball, and the Reds were tagging for some reason there. They went back and kind of half tagged. And then the stop sign had to be put on for all runners and loading the bases. And that was an opportunity for the Philadelphia Phillies. Or sorry, not loading the bases, keeping Solano at third. He should have scored on that one. And then Friedel in the ninth inning for the Cincinnati Reds. By the way, the Phillies would work out of that eighth inning jam. Jose Alvarado would strike out the next 3 batters to keep it a 4-5 game. But then the ninth inning with 2 outs, Friedel triples the deep center for the Cincinnati Reds. Senzel scores. Kyle Farmer scores. And it's 6-5 Cincinnati, even though they were down to their final out. So in the bottom of the ninth, the Phillies would have to make some magic, and they would. Bryson Stott doubled to deep right center with Gene Segura on first base. The ball was a foot from going out, but it hit off the metal fencing on top of the padded fence. So Bryson Stott ends up on second. Gene Segura ends up on third. Well, that's where they should have ended up. The throw just goes to third base, shortstop. I don't know, but there was no red there. And it was just rolling around on the infield, giving Gene Segura the chance to score, giving Bryson Stott a chance to move up to third base. And with no outs, Bryson Stott was hanging out on third base. An out was recorded, and then Nick Maton steps up with 1 out and the winning run 90 feet away. All he needed to do was hit the ball to the outfield, and he did. An RBI single to right field, and the Philadelphia Phillies win on that walk-off by Nick Maton. Bryson Stott was huge in the game. JT Realmuto was huge in the game. Nick Castellanos was huge in the game. Edmundo Sosa had a nice game. The Phillies bullpen was not as good as you need them to be, and that's a little bit troubling for me right now, because since the Sir Anthony Dominguez and the Corey Knebel injury issues, the Phillies bullpen has reverted a little bit, and you expect that when they lose 2 of their best relievers. Sir Anthony expected to be back, so that's good. They're looking at September 2nd as the earliest possible return date for him. He'd be eligible to return that date or any days after, so that's good news. You should have him for the final month of the season. But with Knebel done for the year, this bullpen needs to stop the bleeding a little bit when it comes to their performances the past couple games. Either way, they get the win. They take care of business, and it's a big second game win in a 4-game set with the Cincinnati Reds. The Phillies now are 2-0 against the Reds in this series, so you're looking at the opportunity to win a series tonight, and we're going to preview the Christopher Sanchez start coming up to see if the Philadelphia Phillies have a chance to complete the sweep tonight. Spoiler alert, they do, but I'll tell you why. And let's just look at some of the numbers from last night's game as far as the batting, because there are some guys that were quiet. Kyle Schwarber went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. All 3 of those Ks were on terrible calls. So I don't know if Kyle Schwarber has some issue with that umpire. He seemed like he was out to get Kyle Schwarber last night. So a rough night for him at the dish. Luckily, his team picks him up anyway. Bradley Zimmer went 0 for 0, and just went 0 for on a pinch hit performance. So no hit for him. Rhys Hoskins, 0 for 3 with a walk, but he scores a run. Alec Boehm, 1 for 3, but an RBI. So it's good work by him. JT Realmuto, 1 for 3, but it was a triple with 2 RBIs. Nick Castellanos, 1 for 4, but it was an RBI. And there was no Philly with multiple hits in this game, but the hits that did come. Edmundo Sosa, 1 for 3 with a run scored. Matt Vierling, 1 for 4 with a home run. Bryson Stott, 1 for 1 in a pinch hit at bat for Jairo Munoz in the bottom of the ninth with a huge double that turned into a triple off the wall. It was just one big at bat from everybody is enough to put up 7 runs and win a ball game. It's just a lesson about baseball, folks. You want to see guys who come up and are hitting 2 or 3 times a night, but to create offense, you don't need that. You need one big at bat from every player on the team. You could go 1 for 4 every night, and you could put up 7 runs and win ball games. So a nice lesson about how baseball could be variable, even if you don't have a guy that's absolutely on fire right there. And a good sign for the Philadelphia Phillies. That means a lot of guys are seeing the ball well enough to have big hits for the team. So that's all good. They take the win. And again, an opportunity to win again tonight as the Phillies take on the Reds for the 3rd game of 4. Christopher Sanchez making a spot start. I'll explain coming up next why I think that it is that he's making the spot start and being called up to kind of reset the rotation. And we'll look at the game in general with the lineups already announced and how everyone does when facing the opposing pitching. That coming up next on Locked On Phillies. Hey, it was a big win for the Phillies last night. Maybe you were out at the game. Maybe you were partying a little bit, having a couple celebration beers down at some of the bars near the stadium. Well, if you're doing that, if you're hanging out with some friends, putting back a few drinks, sometimes a few can become too many. And as the evening comes to an end, people start to head out. You think of calling for a ride, but no, you live nearby. Maybe you're in South Philly like I am. It's no big deal. You can take care of it. What are the odds you'll get pulled over? No, you could get pulled over. Your insurance could go up. You could get arrested. You could lose your license. You could kill somebody. It's terrible. Don't drive drunk. There's no reason to do it. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk, and the results are tragic and often deadly. That still doesn't stop everyone, though. So that's why I'm giving you this message from the National Highway Transit Safety Association so that you know, drive sober or get pulled over. If you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, you're not. Find a ride, call an Uber, call a ride share, do whatever you've got to do to get home safe. Ask a buddy who hasn't been drinking, but be smart. Don't ruin a night for you. Don't ruin a night for someone else. Don't ruin somebody's life. Drive sober or get pulled over. It's time to get into a preview of tonight's action between the Cincinnati Reds and the Philadelphia Phillies. Another 7:05 start game. All the games of the series are 7:05. So if you're waiting for day baseball on Wednesday or Thursday, well, you're not going to see it. These are all night games for the Philadelphia Phillies, but an opportunity for the Phillies to win the third game of the series tonight and win the series. And they've got a really, really good chance to do so because, well, they're facing TJ Zeuch, who they saw last time and absolutely dominated. He's got a 13.5 ERA, a 2.5 whip, in 8 innings pitched, 17 hits given up, 5 Ks, 3 walks, 4 home runs. He's gotten dominated by the Mets and Phillies in his 2 starts, and now he's got to see those Phillies again. It is not a good sign for the young righty, so he'll have to face down the team that beat the heck out of him last time he took them out. Then, on the other hand, you have a guy who's also only got 2 results on the year. He's 1-1, and it's Christopher Sanchez. Now, Sanchez does have a 3.8 ERA. When called upon, he's been pretty darn good for the Phillies. A 106 whip in 23 2/3 innings pitched, 16 hits given up, 18 strikeouts, 9 walks allowed, 3 home runs in those 23 innings. So you can go yard on Christopher Sanchez. But if anything, comparable pitching in this one because of the Christopher Sanchez spot start. But this is one that I'd still give the advantage pitching-wise to the Philadelphia Phillies, partially because Sanchez is more experienced than Zeuch, also because Sanchez has been better in that experience than Zeuch. So got an opportunity to take care of business there. We have the lineups. So Sanchez will be facing a Cincinnati Reds lineup of Jonathan India, Nick Senzel, Kyle Farmer, Solano, Aquino, Fairchild, Lopez, Barrero, and Robinson. Charlie Robinson being called up, a catcher making his major league debut for the Cincinnati Reds. A cool story there. African-American is very rare to see an African-American catcher at the major league level. There just really aren't that many out there. And he had a fun interview talking about that position, the amount of people that would be watching him and looking up to him because of it. And just best of luck to Robinson tonight, even though he's facing the Philadelphia Phillies. Hope he has a wonderful debut. MLB debuts are always special. I hope he goes 4 for 4 and the Reds lose the game. I'm not going to root for the Reds, but I hope Robinson plays well in his debut. Now, for the Philadelphia Phillies, here's how they are going to line up. Schwarber is going to lead off in designated hit. Rhys Hoskins batting second, playing first base. Alec Bohm in the 3-hole, batting third, or playing third. Batting third, I already told you. JT Realmuto in the cleanup spot following that big triple last night. He's catching. Nick Castellanos in right field batting fifth. Bryson Stott batting sixth, playing shortstop. Gene Segura batting seventh, playing second base. Nick Maton in left field again after his walk-off performance last night. He'll bat eighth, and Matt Vierling will play center field. He is batting ninth. So you've got everything taken care of there. Their career versus TJ Zeuch. Well, let's talk you through what they did last time. Rhys Hoskins went 2 for 3 with a homer and 3 RBIs. Alec Bohm, 1 for 3. Nick Castellanos, 2 for 3 with a home run and an RBI. Gene Segura, 2 for 3. Nick Maton, 1 for 1. Matt Vierling, 1 for 2. I mean, Zeuch got hit around like crazy by the Philadelphia Phillies last time he was out. And as far as the players on the Cincinnati Reds, not a single one of them has ever faced Christopher Sanchez at the major league level. So, hey, advantage all to the Phillies. One more thing I always share with you guys, the percentage chance to win by ESPN Analytics, 75.4% chance for your Philadelphia Phillies to take the win tonight and win the series against the Cincinnati Reds, leaving 24.6% of a chance that the Reds pull it off. So, advantage Phillies. And the good news for the Philadelphia Phillies outside of the walk-off win last night, well, that lineup's going to look different in probably about a week. Bryce Harper made his first rehab stint last night. Was down in AAA Lehigh Valley, is facing the Gwinnett Stripers. And all he did, because he's the MVP and the best baseball player on the planet for my money and absolutely incredible, and he's a superhuman and can do anything he wants, steps up to the plate and his first at bat in 2 months, he goes yard. Absolutely demolishes one to right field for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. And he wasn't done. He had a couple walks in the game, and then later in the bottom of the 8th inning, it's a 1-run ball game. Lehigh Valley's up 1, 2 runners on base, and Bryce Harper hits one the opposite way. He had a 2-home-run night down in AAA last night. And this isn't like it's AAA. It's not major league pitching. But this is a guy that hasn't seen live pitching in a game situation in 60 days. We'll count that as 2 months. And he just comes out, and it's 2 homers in his first game. Okay, I mean, he's absolutely ready to come up. But here's why he's not so far. We'll talk about this since I already previewed the game against the Cincinnati Reds tonight. And we do have, don't forget, Off the Poll coming up. Off the Poll is a reaction to our poll question that I placed out on Monday. So we will get into that. But here's why Bryce Harper isn't coming up. It's not just the ability to hit. We know he's got the ability to hit. And we could clearly see that that's a healthy enough part of his game. But now he's got to see how he feels after the game. He's got to see how his thumb feels today and how his body fatigues and how he holds up. Then he's got to see, okay, you might feel good on an off day, but 2 days in a row might be, oh, that's a lot of strain. If I play 2 games, then my thumb starts hurting. And you got another day off most likely, or if you play 2 nights back to back or whatever. It's this progression of, okay, my thumb didn't hurt from just playing 1 game. Will it hurt and be sore afterwards? Okay, it wasn't sore the day after. Will it be more fatigued 2 games in? Okay, it didn't hurt there. Will it be sore after 2 games? Will it be fatigued if I play back-to-back? Will it be fatigued if I play a week's worth of games? If the answer is no to all of those, if the answer is something they're comfortable with, even if it's slightly to the yes side to all of those, then he will come up. Let's remind you, folks, who would the Phillies be rushing Bryce Harper up to see? The Cincinnati Reds 2 more times, and then the Pittsburgh Pirates for 3. You've already proven you don't need Bryce Harper to win those games. And I know you want to see Bryce Harper at the major league level. I certainly do. And when he's ready, he's going to come up. But I'm not cutting his rehab assignment short because he hit 2 home runs and you want him to do that against the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're going to handle the Pirates anyway. I'm not rushing Bryce Harper back because of 1 good performance that could see him be more fatigued and cause further injury. Do this the right way. Take your time. The Phillies aren't playing anyone good for like the next 2 weeks. So just deep breath. Bryce Harper will get here when he gets here, but it was awesome to see him go to yard 2 times last night. And that's proof that when he gets here, well, he's going to be absolutely ready to go. And it looks like he's going to be the same guy who won National League MVP last year. So very excited for that, but let's let everything play out. Let them do stuff the right way, them being the Phillies organization and the handling of Bryce Harper's rehab, and he will be here soon enough. And then it'll be a playoff push time for the Philadelphia Phillies. So some exciting stuff out of Lehigh Valley, some exciting stuff out of the Major League Club at Citizens Bank Park last night. And hey, we get a chance to do it all over again tonight. But before we do, I want to talk to you about Off the Poll, which, if you'll remember, was a question about how the Mets series affected your feeling on this team in general. We'll discuss the results coming up next as we wrap up today's Locked On Phillies. Let's talk to you about Bet Online, my friends over at betonline.net. And it's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your betting needs. You can find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. You can find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, combat sports like the UFC, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you absolutely covered. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, they're where the game starts. All right, it's time to check out Off the Poll. It's when we react to our poll question. So the first part of Off the Poll was on Monday, where we posed this question. Now we have the results that we could discuss based on our Twitter poll. You can find our Twitter polls always at LO_Phillies on Twitter and on my personal account at Connor Thomas 975. Give those both a follow. Now, our question for this week's Off the Poll segments: after how the Phillies played in this past series against the Mets, talking about this weekend series where they lost 3 of 4 against the New York Mets, are you still in or are you out? And you had 2 options: still in, just one series, and out, they can't compete. And I got good news for you guys. The responses were correct. 89.1% said still in, just one series, while 10.9% said out, they can't compete. A good number of people responded to this, so thank you to those of you who did. And the correct answer is still in, it's just one series. The fact that 10% of the responders are out, yeah, I mean, those are people looking for a reason to be out on the Phillies. They're looking for the collapse of the past couple of years. They're looking for a reason to not have to watch a team that they don't have full faith in. And the 89.1% of you are ones that agree with me, that think this is just a really, really good team, talking about the New York Mets. They're very difficult for everybody in baseball to beat, not just your Philadelphia Phillies. And it was just one series. You have the opportunity to make the playoffs still. You're still in a playoff position, and you still have a very talented roster. Just for some reason, you can't beat that team. You're still in. It's just one series. I love that response from the fan base, because I was worried that it was going to be, I don't know, 15, 20, 25% of you that would say that you were out because of how disheartening that series was against the Mets and how annoying it is to lose to that team. But no, not the case. We've got only 10% of you saying that you're out and 89.1% saying that you're still in. I'm glad you're still in, because it's going to be a fun stretch run. Hopefully you weren't out, because 2 fun wins against the Cincinnati Reds so far this week. A chance to go for another one tonight. These are all good things. So that's a good sign from the fan base and the support that the Phillies are going to have down the stretch. Love that. And hopefully we see more of that support at Citizens Bank Park tonight for Game 3 of Cincinnati Reds, Philadelphia Phillies. That's all my time for today. Got to go get ready for that very same game. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, also available on YouTube. Now check out Locked On MLB with your second listen of the day. Paul Francis Sullivan, Sully, he covers baseball in general. He knows the league inside and out. Got great historical stories. He's got great knowledge of everything going on around the major leagues, and he'll cover everything top to bottom as far as breaking news, storylines, streaks, losses, everything like that. So he's got it all taken care of at Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And that's all the time for me today. And I will talk to you after hopefully another Phillies win tomorrow.